Hi, and welcome to my channel. And this week, on the sports side of things, we are talking about the Utah-BYU game that will be tomorrow. Now, Utah has been favored by about 7 points all week. And, Vegas often knows, the money knows what's going on most of the time. Although I'm hoping they don't tomorrow. I'm hoping for a 34-13 kind of butt whooping. Now, will that happen? I don't know. But let's look at what happened last week. Utah took on Weber State in their first game in the unveiling of the south end zone, the new south end zone at Rice-Eccles Stadium. There was, there was definitely some rough spots. We had gave up a 100-yard TD return to, I believe his name was Rashid Shaheed, and that kid could fly. Good player, and All-American in the FCS level. And going into that, you may recall there was a lightning and rain delay. Lasted about an hour and a half, and going into that, that was that and the extra point was the last play before the game was postponed for about 90 minutes. We came out and we took care of business, racked up about 450 yards of offense, held them to about 275. Now, about 70 of that came on the last drive when we had our second team defense in. And so really, our first team defense held them to just 3 points. Gave up that one special teams touchdown on the kick return, and we gave up, that one touchdown at the end with our second team defense in. Did well on offense with a few exceptions. We had 2 touchdown passes, would-be touchdown passes that were dropped. Both of those guys dropped them in the end zone, right in their hands. TJ Pledger was the first one, and then Cole Fotheringham dropped the other one. And then we also got stuffed on 4th and half a yard at the goal line. So definitely some things we need to clean up. BYU, on the other hand, they actually got outgained by the team that was picked to finish 12th in the Pac-12. BYU, I think, had about 370 yards, and University of Arizona, the Wildcats, had about 416 yards, if I remember correctly, something along those lines. Now, BYU still pulled out the victory, 24-16, but kind of close. Especially against a team, BYU wants to think they've got a good team, and they're barely beating the team that's picked to finish 12th, last in the Pac-12. I don't see it, Everybody has a down game, It could be a fluke. We'll see. We'll see as BYU's season unfolds. They have a lot tougher schedule this year than they did last year. That win-loss record that they had last year was definitely inflated based on the competition they played. And, it's not their fault that they had to play that competition. Thank you, COVID. But I think it's going to be a different story this year for them, and it has nothing to do with the players they lost. Rebuild. If you want to be, a successful program, you reload. You don't rebuild. They're kind of in rebuilding mode this year, almost a little bit. They did get some good wide receivers in the transfer portal. They got the Nakua brothers out of Utah and Washington, Sampson out of Utah, and Pakua out of Washington. And, there's some good wide receivers right there. And they've got Gunner, who we wanted. We recruited him hard. And they've got Gunner Romney. And all 3 of them are going to be playing, at least what I'm hearing, they're going to be playing this weekend. But will probably not be at 100%. Gunner, I believe, is playing with a torn MCL. And the Nakua brothers are both nursing hamstring injuries. So we'll see how that turns out. Now, Utah still also has some injuries that they're working on. Last week, 2 of their starting offensive linemen were out, and I'm hearing that one of them is going to be back for this game. So at least we should have 4 of our 5 starting linemen. Hopefully, there's decent enough continuity. Now, since the one of them didn't play last week, Laumea is, I believe, the one that's going to be back this week. Now, If we look back, also, before I go on anymore, I do want to give a shout out to the U. They did a great job last week honoring Ty Jordan. I mean, it was fabulous. The two things they did with the number 22 portal becoming the Ty Jordan portal and the moment of loudness, both of those things were just, man, touching and awesome, and the family really appreciated it. And hats off to Weber State, who also took part in that celebration. I mean, they were cheering loud and everything during the moment of loudness. So, kudos to them. And kudos to BYU this week. I know that they've got a Ty Jordan flag. I don't know if they're going to, show it off at halftime. That would be really neat, or some other time. I don't know. But I have seen it, and, hats off to them for that. Now, so we know a little bit about what happened last week with Utah and BYU. Let's take a quick glimpse back into the 2019 game where we won 30-12. I believe we got 2 of our touchdowns off of pick sixes. Hey, awesome. I'll take them any way we can get them. Of course, it also doesn't give our offense a chance to score because we have to then kick it right back off to BYU. But if you remember, BYU's defense was like rush 3, drop back 8. And so basically they were trying to take away the deep ball. And so everything had to be kind of underneath. I think Huntley threw for around 167 yards. You can look it up and check it. I can't remember for sure, but I think it was in the 160-yard range. And we did a fair amount of our offense was from rushing. And so from what I've heard, I did not see the BYU-Arizona game, but I'm thinking and I'm hearing that was the same kind of defense that BYU played against Arizona that they did against us 2 years ago. Rush 3 for the most part, and some blitzes thrown in here and there, but for the most part, rush 3, drop back 8. Now, Arizona's quarterback had a pretty good statistical day. I think it was 35-46, something like that, and had 300 plus passing yards. I could see Charlie Brewer picking BYU's defense apart with 10, 15-yard throws all day long. My hope is that we can also stretch it a little bit and get some of our receivers, beyond their coverage and maybe hook up for a nice long gain that way, and hopefully even a big play touchdown. We'll see. But I think if they utilize that defense like they did a couple years ago when we beat them 30-12, I do think we're gonna one, pick them apart with some short to mid-range passes, and I think we're also going to have a good day running against them. We've got Mekhi Bernard and Tavion Thomas, who both had good games last week. I think we'll see more success. I'm hoping to see a little bit more of Pledger and Curry, just to kind of keep them involved and see how they can, complement the other two and add to our offense. But that's kind of what I'm looking for offensively. Defensively, I think we'll, my guess is we'll keep them under 100 yards total rushing. And the matchups that I'm interested in is going to come in the secondary, where I think, we'll have our speed. Our cornerbacks are a little on the short side. Charles Phillips III is listed at 5'10". I'd be surprised if he's actually that tall. He looks more like 5'8", 5'9" to me. Maybe that's just because he's so yoked, because the kid is yoked, man, and the kid is fast. And, he's obviously spent a lot of time in the weight room, getting even stronger, and he already was pretty strong last year. Travis Broughton, another very fast young man. I think he's listed at 5'11". I don't know that he's quite that tall, but regardless, 5'11". Malone Mataele is, I think, also listed at 5'10", 5'11". And he's our nickel back, our starting nickel. And all three of those are quite a bit smaller height-wise than Gunnar Romney is 6'3", Samson Nakua is 6'4", and I think Puka is 6'2". And if that's their starting receiving core, then they've definitely got the size. And I know Puka's pretty fast. Don't know if he's going to be hampered by his hamstring in terms of his top end speed. Also, I'd say the same thing with regard to Gunner. I think Gunner's pretty fast as well. And again, I got to think that with an MCL, he's going to be slowed a little bit. Maybe his cuts won't be as sharp, that kind of thing. So it'll be interesting. That's kind of the matchup that I'm looking for, to see how our cornerbacks and our secondary in general handles the BYU passing game. Now, the quarterback, Jaron Hall, he hasn't been as accurate as I'm sure the fans would like and the coaches would like. And so that'll certainly play to our advantage unless he suddenly gets really accurate. And it also his accuracy may also depend on the kind of pressure we can get on him, preferably out of just our front four, but, occasional blitz from a linebacker or safety or something, would be, I'm sure that's going to be part of our recipe on defense. But it'll be interesting to see how we do. Jaron, I think personally that Zach Wilson was a pretty good runner. He's fast, shifty, but Jaron Hall is supposed to be better. And so it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Now, the other thing I want to just talk about real quickly is the rest of the Pac-12 games. Oregon's taking on Ohio State. Oregon did not show very well against Fresno State last week, 31-24. And they're going in. I don't know if the top player in the nation in Thibodeau is going to be playing. He's been in a walking boot. I don't know if he's, ready to play, or if he's going to be close to 100%, but they're taking on number 3 Ohio State, who's favored by 14.5. I'm thinking Ohio State wins in the horseshoe. Texas A&M coming into Colorado as a 17-point favorite. I'm thinking Texas A&M probably even covers the spread on that one. California, a not very good team, taking on TCU at TCU. They're an 11.5 dog. I'm thinking another Pac-12 team's losing again. So with those 4 teams right there, we're 1-3. I think Washington State's going to take Portland State. Woohoo! That'll make us 2-3. I think Washington's probably going to go 0-2 after their game at Michigan. At Michigan, big house, 108,000 screaming fans, give or take. I think San Diego State, our next week's opponent, is going to probably beat Arizona. Arizona's favored by 2, but it'll at least give us, a little bit of knowledge of the kind of team we're going to be facing the following week. Stanford, I think, is going to start the season 0-2 after tomorrow's game against USC. I think Arizona State is going to beat UNLV handily at Arizona State. And I think Oregon State's going to come out of this weekend 1-1 after beating Hawaii. Favored by 11. Don't know if they'll cover the spread. Hawaii didn't look all that good, against UCLA, but that was the first game, in week 0. So we'll see. Pac-12 needs to step it up so we can get some respectability with the national media. Anyway, I'm hoping Utah gets it 34-13 or better. I'll always take better. But, if it's a 1-score game, I'm hoping it's a situation where we were up 2 and BYU scores a last minute touchdown against our second team defense or something like that. And, we win by 7 or 8. Anyway, that's my take. I look forward to seeing you next week. Please like and subscribe, and go Utes.